You might think your home is just a place to rest, but what if it's been silently draining your energy this entire time? Not because of bad design, not because of clutter, but because of a few familiar objects you've been living with that quietly work against you. This isn't superstition, it's energetic reality. In Feng Shui, your environment doesn't wait for your attention. It reflects your patterns, amplifies your emotions, and magnifies the smallest things you ignore. So when your sleep becomes restless, your mind feels heavy, or your fortune seems stuck, it's not random. It's a signal that the energy around you has shifted. And today, you're going to find out exactly why. Because in this video, we're uncovering 4 ordinary objects that unknowingly open the door to imbalance, and 4 powerful protectors that can bring your home back into harmony. These are subtle, often overlooked triggers that shape your everyday experience. And by the time we're done, you'll be able to walk through your home with new eyes and finally understand why certain rooms feel off, why you keep waking up tired, or why luck just doesn't seem to flow the way it used to. The longer you ignore these signals, the more they accumulate. But once you shift them, even slightly, you can unlock a powerful wave of clarity, calm, and unexpected ease in your daily life. So don't look away. Because what you discover today won't just help your house feel better, it might just help your whole life flow differently. 4 hidden objects that invite misfortune. Number 1, cracked mirrors, old and faded mirrors. Most people think of a broken mirror and immediately think bad luck. But that's just the surface reaction, the folklore. What's far more dangerous isn't what you can see. It's what your space begins to reflect back when that mirror no longer holds clarity. Have you ever walked past an old mirror and felt something was slightly off, even though you couldn't explain why? That subtle discomfort isn't about the crack, it's about the energy behind the reflection. Because mirrors in Feng Shui are not decorative afterthoughts. They are active participants in the energy ecosystem of your home. And when one is damaged, worn, or covered in years of foggy residue, it doesn't just distort your appearance, it starts to distort the energetic alignment of your entire space. Think of the mirror as your home's emotional lens. If it's chipped, cracked, or dulled, what do you think it's doing to the flow of your thoughts, your sleep, or your peace of mind? In Feng Shui, a mirror's role is never passive. It's a directional conductor. A cracked mirror scatters intention. A dusty one traps reflection. And a mirror that hasn't been energetically cleaned in years becomes more than just a surface. It becomes a silent amplifier of confusion, fragmentation, and mental fog. Have you ever sat in your room, felt unfocused for no reason, and blamed it on your day? Maybe the issue isn't your mind. It's the reflection that's been silently echoing that mental noise back at you. When a mirror is placed in the wrong location, facing your bed, opposite the front door, or reflecting a cluttered corner, its impact magnifies. But when that same mirror is damaged or neglected, it doesn't just redirect energy poorly, it fractures it. What starts as a simple surface imperfection grows into a vibrational misalignment that slowly pulls your energy off track. And most people never realize it. They clean the floor, they light candles, they rearrange furniture. But they never stop to look at what's reflecting all of that back at them. What if the most beautiful object in your room, the mirror, has been the thing quietly working against you? In construction, we often say the structure of a home will always tell the truth before the owner does. Mirrors in this way are similar. They don't just tell you what you look like, they show the space what it holds. And if that mirror is broken, the message becomes distorted. A clean, whole mirror reflects clarity. A cracked mirror reflects confusion. If your space feels chaotic, it's worth asking, What's reflecting it back? Now, most people don't think of emotional clarity when they look at home design. But Feng Shui isn't about decoration, it's about interaction. Everything in your space interacts with your state of mind. So when your energy feels divided, ask yourself, is your reflection doing the same? And here's the truth most people miss. A damaged mirror doesn't just break once, it breaks continuously. Every time it catches light at the wrong angle, every time it reflects a person passing by, every time it holds the room without resolution, it sends that fragmented energy back into the space. So if you've ever felt watched in your own room, if you've ever sensed that something didn't feel right even though everything looks fine, the answer might be hiding in a frame on your wall. And it might have been there for years. How long have you been absorbing that silent disruption without realizing it? So what's the solution? It's not about fear, it's about restoration. In traditional Feng Shui, you never discard a broken mirror casually. You don't toss it in a trash bin and move on. You return it ritually and with respect. Wrap the mirror in clean red cloth, seal the energy, and return it to the earth. Red is the color of protective yang energy. It seals what's been cracked energetically and symbolically. If returning it to nature isn't an option, breaking it further into safe, small pieces, while repeating a simple inner intention like, "Let this distortion return to stillness," is a conscious way to close the loop. It's not superstition. It's energetic responsibility. But here's where the deeper practice begins, because once the old mirror is gone, it's not just about what's removed, it's about what's revealed. That empty space on your wall becomes a mirror in itself, a place to project clarity, presence, and new intention. What will you put there? A mirror of new design, a piece of art? Or perhaps nothing at all, because now you understand that what you reflect into your space also reflects back into your life. You might be surprised by what changes when the distortion disappears. Focus returns, sleep deepens. Silence feels safe again. So pause for a moment and ask, what is your mirror really showing you? Is it offering clarity or quietly fracturing your field without your permission? Most people never ask. But maybe that's where the shift begins, not in moving things, but in seeing differently. Because in Feng Shui, seeing is never just about what meets the eye. It's about what energy remembers. And mirrors, above all else, remember everything. Number 2, dolls. If a mirror reflects the energy of your environment, then a doll holds the memory of something deeper, something more personal, more intimate, and potentially more dangerous. Because when an object has a face but no soul, what exactly is it inviting in? That's not a poetic question. It's a very real energetic dilemma, especially in homes where dolls are kept without intention. Most people assume that dolls are simply decorative or sentimental. A childhood memory, a beautiful antique, a gift that feels too precious to throw away. But in Feng Shui and in the broader field of energetic design, these are not passive items. They are carriers, vessels for emotional residue, memory, and sometimes even energetic attachments that don't belong to you. Think about it. Why does a doll, especially one with human-like eyes, sometimes feel like it's watching you, even when you know it can't move? That discomfort isn't in your imagination. It's the nervous system picking up on what the conscious mind can't explain. In spiritual energy work, objects with eyes, faces, and human features represent a form-spirit contradiction. They look alive but carry no life force. And in that empty space between form and essence, something else can settle in, something you didn't invite, especially when the doll is old, second-hand, or inherited. It doesn't just come with cloth and porcelain. It comes with emotional imprint. Have you ever wondered what energy a gift might still be holding from its previous owner? Or whether something that brought comfort to one person could carry grief or unresolved pain into your space without you realizing it? In one of my clients' homes, a single porcelain doll sat in the corner of a guest bedroom. It had been bought from a thrift shop, beautiful, delicate, untouched. But within days, the entire household noticed a shift. Sleep became harder. Minor arguments started without cause. The atmosphere felt heavy. No one connected the dots until that doll was quietly removed. Within a week, the mood of the space shifted again. Could it be coincidence? Sure. But when you work with homes long enough, patterns become harder to dismiss. And sometimes it's not about proving anything, it's about paying attention. Dolls, especially those placed in low traffic or quiet zones of the home, bookshelves, attics, or guest rooms, can subtly affect sleep cycles, children's focus, and even adult emotional regulation. Why? Because those spaces already carry low energy circulation. Add to that a symbolic object that blurs the boundary between animate and inanimate, and you create a perfect pause point for stagnant or foreign energy to collect. The home begins to feel slightly off. Not dangerous, just not quite settled, and most people dismiss it as overthinking until it builds. Here's where the real weight of this issue settles in. When a doll is gifted to you or passed down or bought from an unknown source, it doesn't just enter your home, it enters your energetic field. You become its keeper. And just like any relationship, if the object holds unresolved tension, it starts to mirror that back into your environment. It doesn't need to move or speak. It only needs to sit and hold the space that your attention no longer does. That's why intuition matters. If you've ever looked at an object and felt unsure, felt unsettled without knowing why, it's not paranoia. It's perception. But let's look at this from another angle. Not all dolls are dangerous, right? So what makes the difference? It's not the material, it's not even the age, it's the context. Objects that are created with love, kept with care, and placed with intention tend to hold lighter energy. But those that are forgotten, displayed without clarity, or connected to loss become energetic anchors. And anchors can drag more than they hold. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Are the objects in your space reflecting the life you want to cultivate? Or are they remnants of stories that don't belong to you anymore? So here's the deeper question, one that most people never ask themselves. Why are we more afraid to let go of an object than to live with its unease? Could it be that we're more comfortable with silent discomfort than we are with confronting what no longer fits? Feng Shui isn't just about objects, it's about courage. The courage to feel something off and not ignore it. The courage to respect beauty without being controlled by sentiment. And above all, the courage to make space for peace where unease used to live. If there's a doll in your home that gives you chills, even slightly, that's not irrational. That's your system doing its job. And if something beautiful feels out of place, perhaps beauty isn't enough reason to let it stay. Not every antique belongs in a living home. Not every memory needs to be preserved through porcelain. And not every decoration enhances your peace. Some simply disturb it in silence. So the next time you see a doll sitting quietly in your home, ask yourself, what story is it still holding? And is that a story you want to live with? Because when you start listening, not just to the noise, but to the silence, you'll hear the answers your home has been trying to give you all along. Number 3, gloomy paintings, sad faces. Some things don't speak, yet they say everything. A painting is one of them. It doesn't move, it doesn't breathe, but it fills a room with presence. And that presence can either lift you or slowly pull you under. You don't just live in your home, you absorb what it expresses. And sometimes your walls whisper sadness so softly that you don't even notice you've been listening. This isn't about personal taste or artistic preference. It's about the energy frequency your environment holds and radiates back into you. If your space is filled with paintings that express sorrow, loneliness, or emotional tension, you're not just looking at art, you're living inside a low-frequency loop. Let's continue from where we left off. If mirrors distort the flow of energy and dolls hold unresolved memory, then gloomy artwork quietly sets the tone. Without you realizing it, your nervous system starts to respond to the emotional landscape hanging on your walls. Have you ever sat in a room surrounded by grayscale, stormy skies, or portraits with downcast eyes and felt a heaviness creep in, even though nothing was wrong? That's not aesthetics, that's energy resonance. The human mind naturally syncs with repeated exposure. So if every day you pass by an image of isolation or unrest, your emotional state will begin to mirror that mood without your conscious participation. The most overlooked mistake in Feng Shui isn't clutter, it's emotional imprint. And paintings are among the strongest imprint carriers because they are visual focal points that live at eye level, commanding your attention even when you're not intentionally looking. Think about it. A single painting in a living room can become the psychological backdrop to every conversation, every meal, every quiet moment. So what happens if that painting reflects despair, confusion, or emptiness? Over time, your home doesn't just feel heavier. It becomes a space where motivation weakens and joy becomes harder to access. One client had a large, beautifully framed canvas of a stormy ocean, gray, wild, and dramatic. It was a gift. It had sentimental value. But that room was always the one they avoided. It felt darker, more tiring, less inviting. No amount of rearranging helped. Until they took the painting down and replaced it with a photo of their family hiking in sunlight. Same wall, same lighting, same furniture. But the entire space shifted. They didn't just say it looked brighter. They said it felt easier to breathe. That's the power of visual vibration. It bypasses thought and goes straight to the nervous system. So ask yourself, what are your walls reflecting back at you? Are they showing you strength, warmth, renewal? Or are they quietly echoing grief, waiting, or loss? This isn't about removing art that feels meaningful. It's about understanding whether that meaning is nourishing or depleting. Because in Feng Shui, everything is relational. And paintings, especially those depicting human emotion, build a continuous energetic relationship with the people who live with them. A sorrowful portrait might have been an artist's expression of release. But when that image becomes a permanent fixture in your bedroom or hallway, it no longer belongs to the artist. It belongs to you, and it starts shaping the emotional tone of your space without your awareness. The deeper issue here is not whether a painting is beautiful. It's whether its frequency aligns with the future you're trying to create. If your home is meant to be a refuge, a place of healing and forward momentum, then the visuals around you must support that intention. Otherwise, even your quiet moments are being shaped by messages of stillness, sadness, or internal conflict. Some people argue that emotional art adds depth to a space, and it can. But what kind of depth are you inviting, and how long are you willing to live beneath it? Let's take a different angle for a moment. What if the art you're drawn to says more about your current emotional state than you realize? If you've chosen paintings that reflect isolation, grief, or longing, maybe it's not just an artistic preference. Maybe it's a mirror of your inner world. And if that's the case, the art isn't the problem, it's the signal. A reminder that something in you is seeking resonance, even in the objects you hang. That doesn't make it wrong, it makes it informative. But information must lead to awareness, and awareness leads to choice. So here's the subtle turning point. If your space could start to feel lighter just by changing what it looks at every day, would you make that shift? Not because the art is cursed, not because beauty is dangerous, but because frequency matters, mood matters, and over time, the visuals you live with become the feelings you live inside. In construction, we design rooms to serve function. In Feng Shui, we shape them to support spirit. That includes the silent language of imagery. And when that language speaks sadness every day, it becomes the soundtrack to your silence. The question is no longer whether gloomy paintings affect you. The question is whether you've already grown so used to their presence that you've stopped noticing the effect. And that's where real change begins, not by blaming the object, but by recognizing the story it keeps telling. Does that story still belong in your space? Or are you ready for something that reflects not just where you've been, but where you want to go? Because your walls don't just hold decoration, they hold direction. And your next step may begin with choosing what no longer needs to be seen. Number 4, stones and pebbles picked up outdoors. Not every treasure from nature belongs in your home. Some carry stories that aren't yours to hold. It's a comforting idea to stumble upon a smooth pebble by a riverbank or a sparkling stone in the forest and bring it home as a reminder of a peaceful day. But what if that small, beautiful object carries more than just a memory? In Feng Shui and in energetic design, stones are not empty. They're energetic archives, natural record keepers that absorb centuries of vibration from the land, the events, and even the emotions of those who passed nearby. So when you pick up a stone and bring it into your space without awareness, you're not just taking a rock. You may be carrying in echoes of energy you didn't ask for, and that your home isn't ready to hold. Let's build directly from what we just explored with Gloomy Paintings. Visuals impact energy. But now we step into a layer even more subtle, the unseen vibration of the seemingly inert. Unlike paintings, stones don't speak visually. They exist quietly. But that silence can either support your grounding or slowly disrupt it, especially when the stone wasn't chosen intentionally, but found, pocketed, and placed at random. In this context, it holds undefined energy, an imprint without clarity, a frequency without invitation. And in Feng Shui, undefined energy becomes unstable energy. Have you ever brought back a stone from a hike or vacation, placed it on a shelf, and later noticed a slight heaviness in that area of your home? Not alarming, just a subtle fog or an odd resistance to stillness. That's not imagination, it's energetic mismatch. Because the stone, though beautiful, doesn't belong to your space. It belongs to the earth it came from. And without purification, placement, clarity, or symbolic grounding, it becomes like background static in a room that's trying to find harmony. Imagine walking into a room and hearing a faint note that's just slightly off-key. Over time, you might not even hear it anymore, but your nervous system still responds. Now, this doesn't mean all stones are harmful. Some, especially crystals chosen with intention and cleansed properly, become powerful tools of alignment. But that's the difference. Those were selected with purpose, placed with awareness, and integrated with care. Random stones picked up outdoors, by contrast, have unknown energetic histories. They may have witnessed grief, seen accidents, or simply absorbed years of environmental tension in places we can't trace. And bringing that unresolved frequency into your home is a bit like bringing home someone else's past and asking it to live quietly in your present. One client I worked with loved collecting stones from every national park she visited. Her shelves were lined with them, raw, earthy, unique. But over time, her home began to feel heavy in ways she couldn't explain. Her plants stopped thriving. Her sleep was light, restless. She thought it was just stress. But when we began to review the energy of her space, the stones stood out immediately. Not because they were wrong, but because they were too many, too undefined, too energetically unanchored. After a careful return ceremony in which she placed many of them back in natural spaces with gratitude, the shift was almost immediate. The house felt lighter, not just emotionally, but even physically. She described it as though the house had exhaled. So the question becomes not, is this stone good or bad? But rather, does it belong here? Has it been cleansed? Was it chosen with a purpose? Is it aligned with the energy you're trying to cultivate in this space? If the answer is no, then its frequency is undefined, and undefined frequencies rarely support stability. In Feng Shui, we use the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, water, not randomly, but to create balance. Earth is powerful, but even earth energy needs clarity. Stones that arrive without context often don't find resonance, and that dissonance becomes environmental weight. And perhaps the deeper layer here is this: why are we so drawn to bring back pieces of the earth, but so hesitant to let them return? Is it the desire to hold beauty, to trap a moment? Or is it the fear that if we don't keep something, it means the experience will fade? Feng Shui teaches that nothing is truly lost when released with intention. So if you've been holding onto a stone for years without knowing why, maybe it's not just the stone that needs to be put down. It's the story around it. If a stone was picked up without thought, placed without clarity, and kept without reason, it becomes energetic background noise in a space trying to sing in harmony. And even the most peaceful home can start to feel discordant when too many undefined frequencies begin to compete. The solution isn't fear, it's reverence. Return what was never yours with gratitude. Acknowledge its beauty, its memory, and then let it rejoin the land it came from. Because in that release, your home becomes lighter, your energy becomes clearer, and the space you live in begins to reflect not what you found by accident, but what you've chosen by intention. So take a moment and ask, not what the stone looks like, but what it feels like. Does it root you, or does it subtly pull you out of alignment? Most people never ask that question. But those who do often realize the space around them has been waiting, quietly, for the moment they finally listen. 4 objects that quietly heal your home. Number 5, living Feng Shui plants. Some plants don't just decorate, they defend. That may sound poetic, but in the language of energy, it's deeply literal. Plants are not passive ornaments. In a space governed by Feng Shui principles, the right plant in the right place becomes an active force, quietly transforming the emotional current of your home day after day. Especially in environments where light is low or airflow feels heavy, certain plants don't merely survive. They cleanse, buffer, and protect. And 2 of the most powerful examples are the snake plant and the peace lily. Let's follow the thread we've been pulling through this journey. Mirrors distort, dolls echo memory, paintings reflect frequency, stones carry hidden weight. But now we arrive at the opposite energy, objects that restore, balance, and breathe life back into a space. What's striking is how often people overlook plants in this conversation. Because they don't glow like salt lamps or chime like wind bells, their influence can be underestimated. But in Feng Shui, living greenery is a cornerstone of vitality. It represents the wood element, the pulse of growth, and the steady replenishment of qi, the life force that runs through every structure. Snake plants, with their tall, sharp lines and upward-pointing blades, embody yang energy. They're grounding but also protective, acting like silent guardians at doorways, windows, or transitional spaces. They're especially effective in places where stagnation collects, like corners, low-light hallways, or spaces where electronics are concentrated. What makes them unique is their ability to absorb toxins, release oxygen at night, and hold a stable energetic frequency even in neglect. In short, they protect while requiring very little. Peace lilies work differently. They're not shields, they're softeners. With broad, gentle leaves and flowing curves, they generate yin energy. They absorb emotional residue from stressful days, soothe tense atmospheres, and help quiet overactive minds. This makes them ideal for bedrooms, meditation areas, or spaces where you rest, recover, and retreat inward. Unlike many plants that depend on bright, vibrant light, peace lilies thrive in subdued environments, which is exactly why they do well in homes where the energy needs calming more than stimulating. Here's the part most people miss. Plants in Feng Shui are not accessories. They're energetic participants. When you place a snake plant by the front door, you're not just adding greenery. You're posting a sentinel that filters the energy that enters your space. When you place a peace lily near your bed, you're not just decorating a nightstand. You're inviting a companion to help absorb the emotional clutter you don't realize you've been carrying. And when you water them, you're not just caring for leaves. You're nurturing the energetic lungs of your home. One client, after dealing with months of restlessness and a constant sense of emotional noise, tried everything: lighting incense, clearing clutter, even repainting. Nothing helped. It wasn't until we introduced two simple plants, one snake plant by the entrance, one peace lily near her work-from-home desk, that the energy began to shift. Not immediately. But within a week, she noticed she wasn't as mentally scattered. Within 2, her sleep deepened. She didn't realize how much ambient chaos her space had been absorbing until something started clearing it. What changed wasn't just the air. It was the invisible tension she'd grown used to living with. So ask yourself, do the plants in your home serve a purpose beyond appearance? Or are they just filling space without connection? In Feng Shui, a plant's role is never purely visual. It's vibrational. That means it requires placement, awareness, and interaction. It means wiping leaves with intention, not just dusting them, but acknowledging them as part of your space's healing system. And yes, it means understanding that not every plant fits every space. The energy of a sharp-leafed plant like a snake plant may feel too aggressive in a nursery or soft space. Just as a peace lily might feel too absorptive near the electronics-heavy energy of a kitchen. Each has its role, and when placed mindfully, their impact magnifies. The deeper truth is this: plants respond to the consciousness around them. The way they grow, the way they tilt toward light, the way they hold space, it's all a conversation. So what is your home saying back? Is it offering them silence and care, or just treating them as background to your routine? Because the more you treat a plant as a partner, the more it reflects your energy back, not just in its health, but in how your space feels. Lighter, clearer, more alive. In construction, we design homes with function. In Feng Shui, we place objects for flow. But plants are the only objects that grow with you, that adjust to your presence, that reflect day by day what the environment is becoming. If everything else in your home is static, plants are the pulse. And when chosen well, they're not just beautiful, they're protectors. So before you buy another decoration, ask, does your home need more beauty or more breath? Plants give both, but more importantly, they give feedback. The way they thrive or struggle, the way they lean, the way they bloom, all of it is a direct echo of the home you've built around them. And in that echo, you'll hear your own rhythm too. Number 6, Himalayan salt lamp. It doesn't shine like the sun, but it anchors like the earth. That glow you see from a Himalayan salt lamp isn't just light, it's a signal. A subtle, steady pulse of grounding that quietly pulls the atmosphere of a room back to center. In a world of harsh overheads, flashing screens, and synthetic brightness, the warmth of a salt lamp is something entirely different. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't overstimulate. It simply rests, glowing softly, offering a form of stillness that most people haven't realized they're craving until they feel it. To continue from what we've seen with plants, objects that breathe and protect, the salt lamp holds a different kind of energy. If plants are the lungs of your space, salt is its nervous system. It regulates, it stabilizes, it creates calm. In both scientific and energetic disciplines, salt has long been seen as a purifier. It absorbs moisture, it balances ions, it pulls toxicity from its environment. And when heated from within, that reaction becomes more than physical. It becomes energetic. It's as if the lamp begins to hold the weight of the room, offering a container for what the human body can no longer process. In Feng Shui, salt represents grounding earth energy. When shaped into a lamp, it becomes a glowing anchor that helps counterbalance overly active spaces. Rooms with too much fire, screens, lights, electronics, or too much air, mental stimulation, conversation, thought loops. That's why you'll feel the impact most in the spaces where overstimulation is hardest to escape. Your bedroom, your meditation corner, your home office. Not because the lamp changes the layout, but because it changes the feel. A salt lamp brings in warmth, not just to the eyes, but to the body's internal rhythm. Many people think of ambience as a matter of taste, but in Feng Shui, ambience is vibration. And vibration determines how a space holds your emotions. A room lit by LED panels feels sharper, more productive, but also more reactive. A room softly glowing with the amber hue of a salt lamp invites exhale. It tells your system, no rush, no noise, just here. And when you light that lamp with intention, it becomes more than decor. It becomes ritual. A simple switch of light becomes a declaration of peace, a symbolic return to softness. One woman I worked with had trouble falling asleep for years. She didn't consider herself anxious, she just couldn't come down at night. Everything in her room was organized, minimal, clean, but the lighting was bright, white, and cold. We made one change. We added a single salt lamp beside her bed and removed her phone from the nightstand. Within a week, she described her sleep as heavier, slower, fuller. Nothing else changed. But something deep inside her nervous system began to relax, not because she did something, but because she allowed the room to hold her differently. The lamp didn't fix her sleep. It simply created the conditions for rest to return. And that's the power of the salt lamp. It doesn't try to change you. It supports the part of you that already wants to slow down. It becomes an energetic campfire in your home, quietly holding space for release, reflection, or even just a gentle evening. But like any energetic object, its impact is magnified by presence. When you light it while scrolling your phone, the lamp competes. When you light it in silence, it partners. So what's the message your home sends at night? Does it pulse with invitation to rest, or does it flicker with unfinished momentum? If it's the latter, the salt lamp may be what helps shift the tone, not because it's mystical, but because it's elemental. Salt belongs to the body. Warmth belongs to the earth. Light belongs to the breath. And when all three are held together, they build a space that doesn't just feel good, it feels safe. Unlike candles that burn out or bulbs that buzz, salt lamps hold a steady glow. And in that consistency, they model the energy you may not even realize you're missing: stability. Quiet, warmth without urgency. That's why they work so well in places where emotional weight builds. Bedrooms where thoughts run long, meditation rooms where clarity feels out of reach, desks where focus frays too easily. They don't overpower, they just exist, gently, faithfully. So ask yourself, what's the energetic temperature of your space? Is it bright and scattered, or warm and whole? Because the light you choose to live with affects more than your walls. It affects your breath, your pulse, your ability to return to yourself. And in a world that often feels like it's pulling you outward, one small lamp glowing in the corner might be the most grounded thing you've placed all year. Number 7. Small Buddha statues or sacred symbols. When the world pulls you away, a simple symbol can pull you back to center. And in the flow of everyday life, where tasks pile up, emotions swirl and focus frays, that return to center becomes one of the most powerful acts of restoration you can offer yourself. In Feng Shui, some objects don't take up space, they create space. Not physical space, but inner space. Clarity, stillness, a pause in the middle of everything that says, you're here, you're safe, breathe. As we've moved through this journey, from distorted mirrors to protective plants to the warm glow of salt lamps, we've come to understand that energy doesn't just live in how things function. It lives in what they symbolize. And here we arrive at one of the most subtle and quietly potent elements you can place in your home, the sacred symbol. It might be a small Buddha statue, a single mala bead looped around a candle, a palm-sized stone etched with a grounding word. It doesn't need belief, it needs presence. What makes these objects unique isn't their material or their tradition, it's their function as focal points. They hold stillness in form. They remind the energy of a space, and the mind that lives in it, to stop spinning. Just like a compass needle always pointing north, sacred symbols act as orientation points for your energy field. No matter how scattered your thoughts or how noisy your surroundings, your gaze landing on that one object can create a gentle ripple of return. Back to breath, back to center. A viewer once shared how, during a stressful cross-country move, she kept a tiny wooden amulet in her coat pocket. She didn't believe in anything particular, but every time her anxiety peaked, her hand would instinctively reach for the charm. It wasn't magic, it was memory. That small token had become a quiet container for calm, a placeholder for a state of being she was trying to access. That's the role of sacred symbols, not to carry power for you, but to hold the space until you remember you already had it. In Feng Shui, these objects are not just decoration. They are energy anchors, placed in reading nooks near doorways, beside your bed or work desk. They stabilize the emotional and mental vibration of the room. A small Buddha statue isn't there to be worshipped. It's there to remind, to interrupt the noise with the quiet strength of stillness. Even a 3-inch figure can become a lighthouse in your mental fog, not because it changes anything externally, but because it reminds you to change the way you meet the moment. There's also something deeply grounding in the placement of these objects. When chosen with care and positioned with intention, they silently organize energy. But when scattered without clarity, mixed with clutter or placed randomly, they lose coherence. That's why the how matters just as much as the what. One simple symbol in a clean space will do more for your nervous system than a shelf filled with items you no longer connect with. So ask yourself, what do the objects in your sacred corners say back to you? Do they reflect your values, your peace, your intention to live with clarity? Or do they sit untouched, reminders of someone else's meaning, someone else's belief? You don't need to follow a system or recite mantras to feel the benefit of a grounding symbol. You only need to choose it with awareness and place it with sincerity. And perhaps the deeper value of these symbols lies in their simplicity. In a culture that celebrates more features, more noise, more complexity, a small stone or carved figure becomes a radical act of less. It doesn't perform, it doesn't demand, it just is. That beingness radiates into the room, inviting your own energy to soften, to pause, to remember what matters. When the environment reflects presence, the mind becomes more able to live in it. In construction, we often talk about load-bearing elements, the invisible beams that keep a structure from collapsing. In Feng Shui, sacred symbols are your energetic load-bearers. They carry the weight of intention, of mindfulness, of return. And even when you're not looking, they're holding the shape of stillness for you to step back into whenever you're ready. So maybe the question isn't whether you have space for a sacred object. Maybe the question is, what are you using right now to hold your peace in place? And is it working? If not, perhaps it's time to find something small, something personal, something that doesn't try to save you but quietly reminds you you're already whole. You've just forgotten for a moment. And that's what these symbols do best, not fix you, not impress others, but offer you a gentle moment of realignment again and again every time you pass by. Not because you believe in them, but because they believe in stillness. Number 8, metal wind chimes. You don't always need to clear energy with fire or incense. Sometimes, it's just a sound carried by the wind. In a home filled with quiet tension, where stress settles into corners and air feels dense even when the windows are open, sound becomes more than just a vibration. It becomes a tool for rebalancing. And few tools are as subtle yet powerful as a metal wind chime. It doesn't call attention to itself. It doesn't demand ritual. But the moment it moves, something in the atmosphere shifts, gently, almost imperceptibly, but unmistakably. From everything we've explored so far, we've seen how the visual, the physical, and even the symbolic hold energy. But sound is the one element that cuts through them all. It doesn't rely on form. It moves through space. And metal wind chimes in particular hold a special place in this practice because of their sharp, clear tones. These tones don't just decorate, they disrupt what's been sitting too long. They stir up what's settled. And in homes where energy has gone still, where arguments were never voiced, emotions were held in, or routines have grown stale, sound is what reawakens the flow. Think of a wind chime as a gentle broom for invisible dust. You won't see what it lifts, but you'll feel the difference once it's gone. Placement matters deeply here. Wind chimes aren't meant to fill your home with noise, they're meant to guide energy. That's why transitional spaces, doorways, hallways, porches, are ideal. These are the places where energy often hesitates, slows, or even stops. Hanging a metal wind chime near these thresholds allows the energy to stay awake, to keep moving, to not gather in ways that eventually weigh the space down. But not all wind chimes are created equal. The tone matters, the material matters. You're not looking for decoration, you're looking for resonance. Before placing one, listen. Does the sound feel clear, like a bell that reaches inward? Or does it feel shallow, cluttered, chaotic? That distinction is more than aesthetic. It's vibrational. A clean, high-pitched metal tone acts like a tuning fork, realigning scattered energy not just in the room, but in you. This is why sound is used in so many ancient healing practices, not because of volume, but because of clarity. I once worked with a man whose home office always felt tight, as he described it. He couldn't focus, even though the room was well lit and minimally furnished. He had tried rearranging furniture, adding plants, and clearing clutter, but the feeling remained. We introduced a simple silver wind chime outside the window nearest his desk. No other changes. Within days, he said the room felt lighter, even though nothing inside had moved. That's the difference between changing objects and shifting energy. Sometimes all it takes is vibration. And here's what most people misunderstand. Wind chimes aren't about scaring things away. They're not weapons, they're invitations. An invitation to awareness, to movement, to subtle joy. When you walk past one and it sings for a moment, it brings you back, not loudly but meaningfully. It says, this moment matters, you're here. That presence, simple, unforced, is what creates sacred space in ordinary life. There's also an emotional aspect to sound that's often overlooked. A tone that rises unexpectedly, not from a screen or a voice, but from nature itself. Wind meeting metal can create a pause inside you that no advice ever could. That's because sound bypasses intellect and moves straight to the nervous system. It calms, it releases, it returns. So what's the role of wind in your home? Does it pass through or does it stagnate? Do you notice when your home has gone too still? Or have you grown used to that heaviness in the air? Wind chimes ask you to pay attention without trying too hard. They bring rhythm back into spaces where energy has stopped breathing. They remind a room that movement is necessary even in stillness. And perhaps the most beautiful truth is this: wind chimes don't control energy, they respond to it. They only sing when the wind touches them. That responsiveness mirrors what energy work is all about, not forcing flow but allowing it. Not pushing things to change but staying open enough for transformation to arrive. So ask yourself, what sound lives in your home? Is it the hum of appliances, the echo of silence, the quiet tension of unspoken thoughts? Or is there a rhythm, a lightness, a breeze that carries sound into space like a blessing? Most people think their home needs more decoration. But often it just needs a reminder to breathe, to move, to remember that presence isn't always visual. Sometimes it's just a tone hanging quietly by the door, waiting for the wind to call it to life. Final, what your home reflects, it multiplies. You didn't just walk through a list of household objects today. You walked through your own habits, your blind spots, and the overlooked corners of your life. Because what we surround ourselves with doesn't just sit there quietly. It speaks, it reflects, it multiplies, and often what feels like low energy, foggy thought, or misaligned luck isn't caused by something big. It's built silently by the objects we allow to stay. The cracked mirror isn't just damaged, it fragments your focus. The forgotten doll isn't just sentimental, it unsettles the emotional current of a room. The gloomy painting doesn't just match your color palette, it becomes the background music to your mind. The stone from a nature walk isn't just a keepsake, it's a story that never belonged to you. These aren't random decorations. They're unconscious choices that slowly shape the emotional climate you live in. And the most common mistake isn't having these objects. It's never questioning their role. Most people do exactly what you've done. They bring things home out of habit, out of memory, out of impulse, and never revisit them. They inherit, collect, decorate, and then wonder why their home feels heavier with time. They overlook how easily just one object becomes part of an emotional pattern. And that's how entire homes end up full of quiet friction. Not chaos, not horror, just a persistent low vibration that dulls clarity, weakens motivation, and keeps peace just slightly out of reach. And if you've seen yourself in any of these patterns today, you're not alone. You're part of a very human tendency to hold on longer than we should and to settle into spaces without remembering to refresh them. But just as easily as energy stagnates, it can also be revived. Not through dramatic change, but through presence. Through small, intentional shifts that ripple outward. You now know what fractures energy: a distorted mirror, a symbol that holds unsettled memory, a painting that reflects pain, a stone that never asked to be brought inside. You also know what restores it. A snake plant placed with awareness, a salt lamp lit in silence, a sacred symbol that centers you when life pulls you too far, a wind chime that speaks only when the wind is ready. These are not just things. They are energy practices disguised as objects. This journey wasn't about judgment, it was about clarity. Because once you see these objects not as furniture, but as carriers of vibration, you'll never walk through your space the same way again. You'll begin to notice what feels heavy before it becomes a problem. You'll feel the difference between something that simply looks good and something that actually supports your life. And you'll realize that peace doesn't arrive in one grand moment. It's built one object, one decision, one space at a time. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to start over. You only have to start somewhere. Because even one clear corner becomes a new center. One room aligned becomes a place of rest. One thoughtful removal makes space for something better to arrive. Your home already holds the blueprint for peace. All that's left is to align what's around you with what you truly need within you. And once you do, you'll stop just decorating your space and start healing it. And in that healing, something deeper shifts. Quietly, steadily, unmistakably.